Yeah, but more importantly, Charlie is starting to make good decisions, or not terrible ones at least.
Yo guys, I'm gonna do something different today. I hope it's gonna be fun. I'm definitely gonna have a lot of fun doing it. I'm gonna review a hand that was done, I think it was called the Poker Stars Cash Game Challenge, something along those lines. But it was a sick game I played on TV with Kevin Hart, Daniel Negreanu, Faraz Jaka, Liv Barry, who got replaced by Igor Koganov at one point, and then Neil Monroe, the challenger. I love every single one of those people, full of charisma, full of energy, and it was probably the most fun I've ever playing a game of poker. And that's saying a lot. I've had some really, really awesome times playing poker. So just to give a bit more context, at least 4 of us were drinking by the end of it. Kevin and I think one other person, maybe Liv, were just hammered. And I don't usually drink when I play poker, and I definitely want to just give a little disclaimer out. Guys, don't drink when you play poker. If you're the kind of person that thinks you get better at poker when you drink, you're probably not. Because a lot of people think it, and not very many people at all are. Especially in the long run when you take in consideration the health consequences. Anyway, there are some times to pump up the fun and pump up the energy and pump up the social lubricants, and when it's a TV cash game with Kevin Hart in, where you know hundreds of thousands of people are going to watch it, then it's probably the time where you want to promote poker, you want to have a lot of fun, you want to show people that poker isn't just this GTO sitting with the hoodie up and your headphones in, looking at the board for 30 seconds and then betting. You just want to show people that you can table talk, you can make some sick plays, you can play loose when you want to. And that's what poker is, it's people don't see poker from the outside as just this boring game, and when they do look at it, they see people just like, oh, they probably get such a huge impression of like, why would I want to play that? Why would I want to waste my time playing something that nobody looks like they're enjoying themselves, nobody's celebrating, no one's commiserating? I just want to get that little mini rant out there, because I think this is one of the reasons for the heavy decline in poker, or at least why poker isn't heavily inclining. It's just because there's such a huge tendency for the top players to be boring. Anyway, so in this cash game, like I said, I'm playing heavily loose. I got Kevin on my right, which is the correct side that I want him on. I've been going after him really hard, and I've been playing really loose, really aggressively, and you don't actually see it in the highlights, but I was winning so many of the small pots, it's unreal. I was just like 3-betting, C-betting, and just like taking it down on the flop or the turn, and they didn't tend to add those things in. I was losing quite a lot at the beginning, and then by this point of the hand I'm about to start, I think I was just about break even, and I was on an upswing. Not that that matters too much, but sometimes people do take that into account, especially a player like Kevin might. So the hand starts out me opening to 350 under the gun on a 25.50 100 euro, the 100 euro straddle by Kevin Hart. I opened 8-5 suited, which is obviously hella loose, but it was definitely not the worst hand I'll be playing from that position, so whatevs.
Kevin has straddled here. Action on Charlie. 8-5 suited.
Charlie Carrel can't stop, won't stop.
Raises to 350 euros. Faraz is in. Round to Kevin.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Charlie raised again? Alright. Alright. Okay. Let's see what happens.
Kevin calls with Queen Jack. 3-way to the flop.
Somehow Charlie's got 30% with those rags. His cards are bad too.
Kevin with the most equity. Faraz with the best hand for now.
With Kevin in the big blind, it's probably okay. I would say it might be around break even in this kind of table, but it's so hard with all these different variables. Like I had live tells on a lot of people, but it's a really bad hand. It's under the gun. It's really not many people are 3-betting, which adds to it. So it's a close one. I would say actually probably slightly winning. Faraz Jaka calls a cutoff with 4s, very standards, and Kevin Hart calls the straddle with Queen Jack off, which is extremely standard and definitely one of the better hands that Kevin will be playing here. I expect he would probably be calling 6-3 off as kind of his worst echelon, like that kind of range of hands, and we take a flop.
The flop. It's Jack 8-7, top pair for Kevin, second pair for Charlie.
So on the flop, it is Jack 8-7 with one spade. We have 8-5 of spades, and we've hit second pair. And I decide that I don't want to c-bet this. There's a bunch of reasons I don't want to c-bet. It hits everyone's range pretty hard, but especially for us jackers. Even if I had a hand, say like queens, I'd probably be checking to Faraz, especially if my queens had a diamond in, so there are a lot more better turns to my hand. It does change a bit here. I'd usually check more of my range if there's like two pros, but maybe I would c-bet queens just because I want to get more value from Kevin. But I probably would check just for pot control because both of these players are very capable of bluff raising, like semi-bluff raising a flop.
Check to Faraz.
I expect a check.
Yep.
So it goes check, check, Faraz checks behind, and we see a turn.
Turn card. 7 of diamonds. Faraz picks up a flush draw.
Turn is a 7 of diamonds, and this is where Kevin leads out for 600. It's around half pot.
Kevin now a 2-1 favorite. He bets 600. Charlie calls. Faraz folds.
And let me just break down his range here, and just so you guys know, I'm not doing this with a GTO strategy in mind, because this would be absolute insanity to approach with a GTO perspective. The GTO players say, hey, you need to be balanced in this spot, you need to be unexplosive, maybe you can deviate from your game 3 strategy a bit, but it's absolute bollocks. Don't listen to it, guys. Kevin is the last player you want to play against in a GTO fashion. If I'm saying I want to play a GTO fashion then deviate, what I'm saying is I want to be unexploitable by someone that's not actually going to be trying to exploit me in like 90% of the ways that you can exploit someone. You're basically saying, I don't want to play a guessing game with someone who's a recreational player. Me being a professional player, I want to play a guessing game against anyone I can. It's so fun and it's so much more profitable, especially in these kind of lineups. It's just like a different mindset approaching. You're not condensed and you're not confined by this, you have to be balanced and you have to play a game 3. It's such bollocks, guys. Don't pay attention to it. So go on, he bet 600, and let me just break down a few of the hands I think he could have here. On 7 of diamonds turn, he could have the ace of diamonds by itself, just like ace deuce off. He could have ace deuce with the deuce of diamonds. It's Kevin, you just never know. He could have something like king 9 off no diamond, king 9 with a diamond. He could have a flush. He could have. Actually, here's the thing. I don't think he had a flush, and I don't think he had a boat, because Kevin, he was the kind of player that if he bet big here, he would usually only have a big hand or a big bluff. So like ace 10 with the ace of diamonds, or like a straight or a boat or even trips might bet, you know, like pot here. And he was relatively face up with his sizings. I wouldn't say face up to the point where you know exactly what his hand is, but face up to the point where you know if he does have a value hand, you know roughly whereabouts it is. But then he does bluff load, so it's still tricky to play against him. So I call the turn. It's a very loose call, but the reason I do this is because I believe I can make very good decisions versus specifically Kevin on the river. I think he turns his hand face up sometimes with his bet sizing, but more importantly than that, because I'm a very good live tell, live read kind of player. That was kind of like my thing when I used to rig the high rollers before I retired. It was my thing to be able to read people, which means and guys, if you're out there and you're like, oh, I'm pretty good at live reads too, it means that you can call turns a lot looser, because let's say you're making a correct decision twice as often as other people on the river, which, you know, is a big amount, let's take the extreme, then you can suddenly call turns with, say, like 4th pair and be ready to hero call correctly and fold correctly. And it's one of those many adjustments that people don't realize, that you can go into the detail, and it's a beautiful thing. Let's call live reads and live tells art. Let's call the theory of poker science. It's a duality between art and science that I don't think a lot of the people, even in the high rollers, understand. It's so beautiful, and it's such a skill, and it's such fun to mix these two worlds together. And it's one of the reasons I absolutely adore poker, even though I don't play it as much these days. So Faraz gets out of the way, complete standard, and we head off to the river.
3 of clubs changes nothing. Kevin bets 1,000.
Somehow 8-5 isn't the winner. Huh.
The river is a complete brick. 3 of clubs, and Kevin bets 1,000 into a pot of 2,385. This is less than half pot, and here's where the GTO world really crumbles, because right now I'm getting over 3 to 1. I'm getting such good price on my money. I don't need to be right very often, like less than 25% of the time to be making a correct decision here. And that means you should be calling with a lot of hands. Like say you have, I don't know, like ace 8 with the 8 of diamonds. Let's say I raise that pre, you're probably calling because you're blocking the ace high flushes and you're blocking a boat and stuff like that, and you want to be calling a lot of your hands. You don't want to be doing this in this kind of situation, guys. When he bets 1,000 here, that is not a bluffy size. If he were trying to bluff me out, he would be trying to bluff me off, say, a jack, and he would choose a size to try and fold out a jack. I know Kevin, I've played against him a bunch in some other tournaments, and I know that he isn't the kind of player to just flimsily bluff out something small. He is the kind of player to be thinking. He'll be like, okay, I want to fold him off this, so I'm going to bet this. He'd be like, okay, I want to rep this, so I'm going to bet small. I'm going to rep this, so I'm going to rep big. And I don't think he's the kind of player ever, if he's going to be bluffing here. I mean, ever's like a strong word, but almost ever, if he's going to be bluffing here, to be bluffing just like under half pot, where I could easily just have pocket nines and call him in his mind, or just like jack 10 and call him. So I really felt like that was a value hand. But here's where the key thing is: he bet half pot on the turn, and he bet half pot, under half pot on the river. So that if I'm going with my assumption, I think it's almost always a value hand. I have to think, okay, what kind of value hands is it? He's not going to have queens, he'd 3-bet that pre. He's not going to be betting a flush, like I said, he'd bet bigger, at least on one of the streets, probably on both. Same with a boat, same with a straight. So that just leaves a jack that he's value betting. And now, here's where playing millions and millions of hands kind of comes in, and you'll see people like Daniel Negreanu doing the exact kind of reads where he says, I think you got this hand, and they do have that specific hand. And you look at it, you're like, how did you get it so specific, like the kicker and everything? And the thing is that when you play millions of hands and you're approaching something with an exploitative mindset, you start building up this intuition of like, oh, I think they've got this, and then you see they didn't have it, and you're like, okay, I'll adjust this slightly. You're doing it subconsciously and consciously, and you start to build up this autopilot where your head just fills in their range, and it narrows down, narrows down, narrows down. And in this spot, I think if you had ace jack, I think you'd bet bigger to get value from king jack and queen jack. I think if he had jack deuce off, I think he'd probably bet smaller. I can see him doing that to try and get value from just like an 8 or something. So I really felt like he had a mid kind of jack, maybe not like a super strong one, and also not a super weak one. And so let's say I'd say he probably does play jack 6 off. So there's a lot of combos of like mid jacks, and I get it.
Queen jack. Doesn't seem bluffy.
Nice reads. Now listen to yourself.
Here, flip me. I'm done.
Charlie folds.
Nice.
Kevin's got another pot.
Yeah, but more importantly, Charlie is starting to make good decisions, or not terrible ones at least.
So guys, as you can see, playing exploitatively can get you a long way, and I hope that at least in this hand, I've given a good example of, and I've demonstrated exactly how much thought can go into a decision as simple looking as this, where a GTO player might just be like, well, I've got to fold on the turn, I'll fold the turn. But you can start making good decisions, you can start narrowing down with every little bit of information. And I haven't even gone into the live tells yet. You have no idea how deep and complex that goes when you mix live tells with tournament poker especially. Also with cash games, but tournament especially when you mix it with live tells is incredible, and I'll go into more detail on that in the training site that I'm bringing out. I'm probably on a few videos, just little teasers, bits of information, but it is very, very valuable information. And it's something that I really don't think that even the best players in the world have comprehended and have understood yet. So I'm gonna just throw it out there for you guys. I won't throw out all the little details and all the little secrets of which live tells are out there and what to look for, but I'll give you the information so when you start being able to look for live tells, when you start being able to exploit people, then you'll know the theory of how to adjust that, and you have the ability to intuitively and informatively use that knowledge, that data that you collect using your eyesight or using your intuition, and put it into the theory of poker that you're learning here with me and you've learned out elsewhere as well. So I hope you had fun, and guys, please let me know if this is the kind of video you like doing. I could choose some way more exciting hands. I just thought this was a good one to kind of just like ease people into the idea of playing exploitatively, and it obviously looks good. It looks like, you know, it's a good demonstration of it because I guessed his exact hand correctly, which is pretty sick to be able to do on TV. I felt a bit like D-Negs when I did it, and you know, that's the dream.
Aces or kings? Can I say that, or is that illegal?
Yeah, if you have any other hands you'd like me to go over, if you have any questions about this hand, please let me know in the comments. Like the video, you dicks, just like the video. I don't ask nicely anymore. It's, we're past that. We're on good enough terms that I don't need to say, please can you like the video? I can just tell you motherfuckers, you information vultures, just like it, and then I'll carry on putting out the free content out there. And it really is valuable content, guys. I'm not just tooting my own trumpet. I really do believe this is the most valuable free content you're ever gonna find on YouTube. So, peace out, guys.
Yeah, but more importantly, Charlie is starting to make good decisions, or not terrible ones at least.